All right, part two, specific learning disability. So what I'm going to get to a little bit more into are the different models to identify specific learning disability. Why would a parent need to know this? Honestly, you want to know if your district's kind of in line with what today's trends are and what the data shows, and really just to educate yourself to understand what the school district's thinking in their evaluation. So. And it does vary wildly. So the first model is the oldest model for identifying a specific learning disability. It's kind of an archaic model. There's states that still use it. It's called the discrepancy model. So to sum it really up, you're looking at, is there a gap between IQ and achievement? So say their IQ is average and their achievement's low. They're like, oh, why is that? And typically you'll find another processing area or some sort of cognitive reason why they struggle in that one area. Here's the thing, in order to have the achievement gap, you have to think of it in terms of trajectory of achievement. So I have a 4-year-old who has an average IQ, and they're not really writing, they're not writing well. Gee, well, how much does a 4-year-old expect to know in writing? That achievement gap's not going to be there, so it only grows as they get older. Thus, it's deemed the wait and fail model. So, because that as the expectations of achievement grow, that gap gets wider and wider and wider. So, which leads me into the second model, and this model is not fairly new, but it's a cross-bettering method, which means that we take data, we want to get a full cognitive profile in a lot of different cognitive processing areas, auditory processing, visual processing, we want crystallized intelligence, all these different terms that you can easily Google on your own. So we want to look at if there's a pattern of strengths and weaknesses cognitively, and we want to see if there's a pattern of strengths and weaknesses academically, and then we want to make sure that those are matching up. The problem with that, again, it still does require some sort of gap. So it does a really good job of explaining, though. It does a great job of explaining us a learning disability, and also explaining what is going on, but possibly is going on with your child. The third model is probably the more widely accepted model, especially as a school psychologist. It's called response to intervention model. So what it is we provide tiered interventions and see if your child is making progress. That's at the same level as typically aging peers. So if they are, we call it low and slow. So if their achievement is a lot lower and a lot slower growth than the peers, we keep providing that intervention until they're just not responding to it, and thus we look at to see, okay, we see that they have a learning disability, and let's get them the help that they need. And there's a lot less testing involved, I would say, with that one, as far as we want to make sure they at least have an average cognitive ability. And I might do some more like cognitive processing areas just to kind of help with that special education process and things like that. So, but the difference with that one is you can catch them early. So kindergarten, gosh, they're not getting those oral language skills. Let's provide that intervention right away. So you kind of get to those kids a lot earlier. So that is an overview with 3 different types of models. So we have the discrepancy model, the cross-battery method, or the patterns of strengths and weaknesses model, and then the response to intervention model. All right. So the next topics I'll cover a few more of the disabilities until we get to all of them. More than likely, I'll cover the next topic, emotional disability. Yep, sounds good to me. Talk about emotional disability or emotional disturbance. All right, till next time.